Allure is about obsessions. I wanted to explore the concept behind obsessions in our lives. It started as a simple idea, and then eventually it started to consume our lives. The music started as just like a single piano line, like a motif, and then it goes into the second section, which is with the strings, and then you feel the pulling, and then at the end you are in a cocoon, and then you feel like you are trapped. I was really happy to find a lot of very talented musicians in Houston. When I met Lindsay, I told her I want to do something about obsession, and I told her my story. I was trying to find someone to film our video. I found Jeremy Barber on the website. We talked about the project, and he was very into the ideas. So we decided to work together.
So this project started when Angela asked me if I'd be interested in collaborating with her. She was really interested in making a dance at the same time as the music and having a true collaboration. But due to schedules and everything, especially my schedule, she went ahead and made the music first, and then I got to choreograph and I got to hear the music. When we were collaborating, Angela actually put together a storyboard. So there was like each section of the music, what it was about, the lyrics, what the lighting looked like, and then I could fill in the dance phrases. So each section had a kind of almost emotion that moved the story along. And when I was creating for each section, I kind of over-created each section, so each part had a little too much choreography so that we had things to work with.
So when we were looking for a location, I remember when I just moved to Houston and I went to a concert in the Silos, and I was so impressed with the space because it has like these gigantic round shaped rooms, and then each room was for the right storage, and then it was as high as like 10 floors, and then so many rooms connect together. It's almost like a maze. So I feel it was perfect for the idea of searching. We have obsession, we wanted to explore, and then we are looking for something, so we are constantly changing our directions. So I think Silos is really perfect for that. When we were thinking about how obsession is like a voice in your head, and then it try to lure you in, and then I was thinking about how do we represent this idea. So I thought about the fabric like flowing in the air, and kind of like the dancer will see this fabric and then it starts to go into this space. When we chose the fabric, we went to Joann's in Houston. So we saw this mesh material, and then it was $1 a yard. So we were really happy about it, and then we tried to throw it in the air. It flows down very slowly. So I think it will be good for the choreography, because when it's moving very slowly, you can create more movement. So we just went ahead and we bought 30 yards of this fabric in 2 colors. And then we were thinking about how do we make the fabric come alive? Because when we started, it just kind of dropped on the floor. And then it was like dead, and then Lindsay was really frustrated with it, like, what do I do with it? And then we got 3 industrial fans, and then we started to blow it from different directions, and then suddenly the fabric started to flow. But we definitely went through a period where we had so much doubts, like, is this really gonna work? Because we are trying something we are not familiar with, and we don't know if it's gonna work. And then the beginning, the fabric was everywhere, and then when the fan blows and the fabric doesn't react in the way we want, it was like kind of have to stop.
it came to my attention that we needed to bring the fabric to life, and it would always be moving. It literally became a very live character. So it's not just about the dancer, it's also this character of the fabric that's unpredictable because it's like moving in the wind. And so it created this like new layer of challenges. At the time, it felt that it limited some of my movement creation that I had come up with. But then as the process went on, I felt like it really allowed for the story to emerge stronger, because the relationship with the fabric, it's okay if it's frustrating at times because that is part of the story. So the allure of the fabric isn't just this magical thing, it's also this push-pull, it's entangling, it can be frustrating, it can be beautiful, it can be supportive. And so the relationship with the fabric did grow over the course of this process.
Some of the stuff that's like, I don't know what you can call it, but like up, is really gonna show the silos.
It seemed like every time we met, there was like a new idea and a new layer and a new dimension and something new to explore. So I think my favorite part was that it was always evolving and it was always kind of changing and shifting, and with every step, we grew closer to a vision. And so there was one day in the studio that was very memorable. I think Jeremy came in and we had 2 GoPros strapped to my body and a camera in the air on a drone. And Angela had set up this huge ladder, and there was multiple fans, and there was just fabric billowing everywhere. And I think that was the most memorable moment, because it really felt like everything was starting to come to life. It wasn't just conceptualized in our minds anymore. So that was really memorable.
Silos has a really mysterious vibe. It doesn't have any sunlight, so you can light it in any way you want, and then you can add colors, you can make it completely dark. So I created 9 different installations, and each of them represent a different stage in the story of obsessions, including the first one was a tunnel that led the dancer into the whole journey, and then also there was a diagonal one that is hanging from a really high window, and also a triangle one until the end we have a cocoon that the dancer is finally trapped. Putting up the installation is a little scary because it's pretty high and I have to climb up and then try to find the anchor point, because we didn't want to put any nails in the building, so we were just looking for those little parts or little pipes that was already there. But it was a lot of fun.
So dancing on a stage, typically you have like one view, almost like you're watching a movie. In the first section, the fabric creates like a river, and it feels like it sort of calls to the dancer and pulls me in, and I'm kind of going along the river down this long path. I created this phrase that was long, that could go down a tunnel. But when I made it, my natural instinct is that you could view it from the side. But when we got to the space, because of the tunnel, I realized you'd be looking at it as I was moving forward and back. And so that was fun to change my idea of how I could show the most important part of the movement to the camera, the part that I really wanted. When you go into the silos, like, it's not immediately the most dance-friendly venue. The floor is concrete, and there's parts with condensation and puddles on the floor, and they're small spaces with small doorways and long tunnels. So dancing in the silos opened up a new idea of how the story could develop within the silos. And it was interesting because I'm a long dancer, I like to use my limbs, I reach a lot, and I think just doing like one turn with my legs extended could wipe out, and I could kick my leg on the doors, and then there's fabric, and there's all these things, and so it really helped hone in on what is the story about, what is it that we want to tell. The character of the space creates a certain ambiance and texture.
Go for it, action on you. Ba-ba-da, you're moving around, it's so beautiful. Yes.
And there's 3 fans blowing all day long. So all the dust are in the air. So we start to wear masks when we are not in the shop. And then also Lindsay was really cold when the fan blows on her and she's just wearing this dance dress. And then she was in the wind the whole day. So that was pretty challenging.
So with my choreographic process, I often like to just listen to the music and improvise and just see what movement it conjures up. And then the next step was to discuss more of the story of the music and the development of the character. And then I can latch on to these little emotions, and I can hear when the strings are really pulling, and when there's like lots of layering, so you kind of know the intensity is building. So I try to pay attention to the texture and the dynamic of the music as I'm creating, so that the movement style will match or at least accentuate those elements.
Time, reset. No, it's great. Pretty. Cut. Good.
So I remember that day we were talking about, hey Lindsay, what if I hold one end of the fabric and then I'm your dance partner, but I'm just holding the fabric so I won't show up in the screen. But then you dance with the fabric and I will control it, so you can kind of roll into it, or you can release it and I will pull and I will feed you with the fabric, and then we can create this tornado kind of feeling. And so she was first very doubtful. She was like, I don't know, this is a lot. So Lindsay went back home and think about it, and then she came back like, oh, actually, I think I'm gonna try it. And she said, I just usually need time to process things. Yeah, so we started to try it, and then it was really fun because I have to kind of look at her, and when she turned, I have to feed her in the speed that she was turning, and then as soon as she wants to get out, I have to pull the fabric really quickly. And then it ended up become a really nice shot in the scene. There is a sentence in the song, it says, pulls me like the gravity until I spiral. So I thought spiral is exactly that feeling when you are caught into the fabric like a storm, and then you rotate, and then you are like wrapped in it, and then so we use that shot for this part. See, so much better.
One more time.
So Allure video, I wanted to start very whimsical. So I wanted to be very naive, just like when you just got an idea in your head. Like, when you're a little girl, you don't understand what it is, you just take it in. So I wanted the music video to look very, like I was thinking about almost no color, very neutral. So I think the white color was our main thing when the video started.
All right, Lindsay. Action on you. Good, thank you.
And then when you start to care about this idea more and more, I wanted the color to get stronger and stronger. So we went through several periods of color in the video. So first we were adding beige, and then we went into red, and then it turns into almost like a pink and fuchsia, and then we add purple, and then we add blue in it, and then at the end you're gonna see the very bright light, like a very warm, almost like flaming color, like the fires, just become very passionate at the end. And yeah, so the color represents how we feel and how our passion develop, how our emotional response to it.
Good, and come to the second. Good, come to the third.
I think what was special about the project is feeling like that every part was important, that the dance is just as important as the music. It wasn't like, oh, we made this piece and now can you dance? It felt like the process that I needed to have to create was respected. So what would happen is, like, Angela would go in and set it up and then give me time alone in the space to work on the movement, perfect the movement. They tell me where the camera was going to be so I could kind of think about what those angles are. And so I would go into the silos sometimes early in the morning by myself and then turn on all the lights and fans, and it would just come to life. And then I was ready for when the videographer would come in and we could kind of continue to stylize and develop and fine-tune it. I felt like we all made space for each other to bring our best games with what we know to the table.
Beautiful.
It was almost like a bubble bath, and then Lindsay was laying in the middle and playing with the fabric and then like hugging it. I think that is when she started to feel so close to the idea, and then after all the struggles and resistance, she somehow started to melt into this idea, like become one with this idea.
Cool. Pretty.
So Lindsay was hugging all the fabric in her, and then Jeremy said, somehow I just feel like this look very bridal. And then I was like, oh, we can totally do a wedding dress.
There was a moment that was also remarkable. I don't remember whose idea it was that I could wear the fabric, but like Angela just went to town. She was just like, yeah, she like wrapped the lights in the fabric and like made this thing to hold, and it was just this beautiful thing draped on me. And I was like, wow, it was incredible.
I always had this idea of how I wrapped this net line with this fabric, and then you can't really see the nets anymore, but you can see all the lights like coming within the fabric. So I used that idea to create this bridal dress. And the reason of that is because when we were thinking about how we're gonna end this video, we thought, how does she feel after all this struggle? Would she just let it go and forget about it? Or would she try again? But Jeremy gave me a really good idea. So he said, maybe after all, she's somehow very satisfied with this exploration. And then I said, yes, I love this idea. All this process has become one part of her life. It has become who she is. So I think it was a very great way to end the video.
And action. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Keep coming, almost all the way up to the camera.